Hey folks, it's Dave here in Studio C, and today we're taking a look at History Maker Golf from Play.com. I've had this game about a week now. I'm completely addicted to it, and what I wanted to show you is kind of what you get in the box and a little bit of gameplay and some of the different game modes. All right. So first things first, you do get your game instructions. You get a couple of score sheets over here. Now these I filled out, and I'll show you what these actually are in a bit. You get some courses. Okay, I ordered a couple of courses as well as the ones that came with it. I also was able to find courses that were community courses and print them out here. And some people did a nice job putting them in full color. And you can see here, this is one I played last night, Newton Square, PA. Is where that one is from. You get some charts here. I haven't separated these. You can separate them if you want. I haven't separated them yet, but I'll show you what these do. You have your tournament chart here, how to set up a tournament, and then you have the meat and potatoes here, which is your charts for the gameplay. And I'll do a quick playthrough and show you what these things do in a minute as well. You get a whole bunch of chips. You're going to need the blue chips and the red chips to play. Blue is good, red is bad. You get 5 different dice and a little camera chip here to show you what golfer is teeing off. You also get the 2,000 stars, and there's a lot of cards here. Look at all the players. There's a lot of players here. I ordered a couple of sets. One arrived, and the other order should be coming in this week. And then you get these here. This is your placement, and I'll set these up in a second when I play, but it shows you who's leading and then how many strokes behind, and you set that up on your table. And then for the tournament, I'll set up in a second, you have different letter grades for all the people that are competing in the tournament. So let me show you a couple things. Hang on one second. So this would be your typical setup if you wanted to play just a couple of golfers playing 9 or 18 holes. You would have your golfers set up over to the side. You would have the hole you're playing, the rest of the course off to the side here, and your score sheet here. Now this is one I played between Love and Singe. I just found Pavin to pull them out here, but this is what it would typically look like. So you'd have hole number 1. Now obviously you wouldn't have chips this early in the game most likely, but this is what it would look like if you gained any blue chips or any red chips. This would show you who's teeing off, so when you roll the dice, you can say, oh, now I know it was Love and not Pavin teeing off. And then you would look at the charts here in the book, and I'll show that in 1 second, and then you would just log in your score and get a final score, and that would be that. So that's one way to play it. Just pick a couple of golfers, pick a course, and go head-to-head in stroke play. Let me show you match play. Now here's a look at match play. It's very similar to stroke play, but instead of trying to get the best score over 18 holes, what you're looking to do is win more holes. So it's kind of a best of 18, if you will. And you will need these little tokens to keep track of the players, because instead of finishing a hole completely with one player, is what you do normally, is that you get it all the way to the green and you stop. That's how the match play works. So let's just say you were playing Davis Love and you rolled your dice here and you followed the charts, and it said he has a difficult putt for par. You would take your Davis Love chip and you'd put it here. So he's got a difficult putt for par, and you would hold right there. And then you would roll for the next guy, and that would be Pavin, and you'd follow him along. Let's say, okay, he's got a clutch putt for birdie. So that's where this table comes in, is for match play. So you would get all the way down to the putt, and 90% of the time you are going to roll for putts. Okay, there's some things that are automatic, but for the most part, you're going to roll the dice to see what happens, then you roll to see what you do on the green. In match play, though, you stop before you finish the hole, and there's an order that you go with gimme first, and then away, and then clutch putts go last. So in this case here, I would be rolling for my difficult par for Davis Love the third. So I'd be rolling a 1 to a 3 and a 4. He would miss that, and he would now go to a moderate putt for bogey. And because the clutch putt goes last, I would roll that, so he would get the bogey, so he would be done. Then I would come over here to my clutch putt for par to see if he made it. He didn't make the clutch putt for par, so now I would have an easy putt. That was a birdie putt, rather, go to par, and then I would get my par right there. So you use this chart here to plot out what the putting is going to be, whether it's a birdie, a difficulty, a moderate, easy, whatever. So you would use this here, and that's what this is for, is the match play. And I used that last night, and it was kind of fun because you do need to see who wins the hole. So over here I was playing Love and Sings, and as you can see I got the hole 15, and when Love won hole 15, that was it. There's no way Sings could come back, and so that's where my match ended, right there at hole 15. So you don't need to play out all 18 when you're playing match play. So let's take a look now at how you would set up normal play. All right, so if we take a look at normal play, and what I consider normal play is your standard, best score after 18 holes wins the match rather than match play. It'd be something like this. So you'd have your score sheet here, 1 to 18, with the golfers listed, and you got your chart here. And this is kind of what you're going to do with most of the game. So you're going to roll. So we got the little pawn here to see who we're teeing off with. So let's just do a quick hole here with Davis Love III. So we're going to roll our dice, okay, and then we're going to either look at the course. So either the course will control it. So you see 3, 4, and 5 with the white dice, the course controls. If not, the player controls. When the player controls, you look at the chart here. So this is your main History Maker golf chart. So on a par 4, you would look at par 4, okay? The only difference is we roll the 6, the white 6. So now we can attack the green. And as instructions, you can play it safe and take a par. And if you take a par with a 6, you get a blue chip, which is always good to have. Or you can attack the green, where you would re-roll the white dice. A 5 would say we got some issues, but we have a moderate second putt for par. And we would roll for our moderate putt for par is a 1 to 5. And a 5 is good, so we would get a par 4 here for Davis Love III. So that's how that hole would play out for him if he was rolling the dice. So now let's take a look at Corey Pavin. So we roll the dice here. We have a 5. A 5 says, whoop, the hole is going to control it. So we're going to look at the chart here. So we look at our dark dice, which is silver and black, and it doesn't matter what comes up, it's lowest number first followed by highest number second. So a 34 would be a square, so that's not a bad shot at all. So what you have here is you have rough, you have the green circle is the best you can get, the little dots here, that's sand, and then you have this little symbol here like leaves, those are trees. So you have rough, sand, and trees are your hazards on the hole. Everything else, circle is the green, and square is kind of the fairway. So you're looking for circles and squares if you roll off the course card. The little numbers here tells you what a shot went into the trees. So if you want to follow along here, if we rolled an 11, okay, on our... Okay, 11 is rough, so that we find the rough symbol. Par 4, so that's a 2. So we would be par 4, our second shot. So there's par 4 first shot, par 4 second shot, and par 4 occasionally there'll be a third shot into the rough. And then we would look at the green dice. Okay, so it'd be par 4, second shot, a 1. And then you would check the card. Is he a workman? He is not a workman. Otherwise, if he's not, a perfect strike from an uneven lie, and we would roll on the pin chart. That's actually a pretty good thing. So if we look at the pin, it's a circle, and now let's re-roll our white die on the circle. It's a 3. Rims the cup and kicks out and gets an easy putt for par. So we roll, and we sink the putt. So Corey Pavin, he would get his par if that's how he played out that hole. So that's what the symbols mean on the card, is that rough, sand, and trees, and that's the shot they went in. So if we were in the rough on the first shot, it's 4.1. If we're in the rough on the second shot, it's 4.2. We back up. If we're in the sand, okay, there's our par 3, there's our par 4, and here's our par 5. So as you can see, it is laid out super simple. So you follow the symbol. So, okay, 45 is we're in the sand on the first shot on the par 4. Par 4, first shot, we look at the green dice, whatever what was rolled. So we go to 1. We ask, is this player chunky? Let's check. He's not chunky, otherwise it's a strong swing. So now we go to the wild shot. So you follow along, and it's really easy to follow. It's just whatever it says to do. If it's a putt for par, great. If it's a wild shot, great. If you check the pin, we have a pin triangle, or like a diamond and a pinned circle, like a target. So, and then occasionally you say, hey, you got a strong applause. Roll on the strong applause chart. Oh, polite applause. You roll on the polite applause chart. So it always tells you where to go next, and it's really never that hard to find what to do. Occasionally, you might roll, and you'll say, is he a hero? No. If it's not, then you go to experience, and even down here, okay, you roll. If it's a par 4, you roll a 3, 3, 4. Is he a yeoman? No. Is he a champion? No. You go to the mood chart. So you go all the way back here and you look at the mood charts. Okay, we're on a par 4. Is the player sunny? Yes. He's got a birdie attempt. If not, he's got a difficult putt for birdie. So you follow along, and all this stuff is explained in the rule book here. So you can, sunny and stormy is just if you're having a good day or a bad day. Most people are going to be normal. There is an optional mode, whereas if you make or miss a putt here on the mood chart, it can affect your mood. I haven't put that into play yet because I'm still learning the basic game. But everything flows. So if you're on a par 3 and you roll the dice, and the player controls, and what I mean by player controls is okay, let's just say this was a par 3. It's a par 4, but say it was a par 3, and you rolled, and your white dice come out to be a 2. Okay, well, 1, 2, and 6 are where the player controls. 3, 4, 5, the course controls. Okay, so when the course controls, we follow the black dice like we talked about. There's a 45, so we go to 45. He's in the sand at 1. We go to the sand at 1 chart on whatever par it is. Okay. If the player controls, you look at the dice that were rolled and you go in numerical order. So in this case, it'd be 1, 4, 5. Okay, and it doesn't matter what the dice rolls are. Okay, in this case, it'd be 4, 5, 5. And if it were this, it would be 4, 5, 6. So you don't read any dice, any color first. It's always lowest number first is what I believe it is. And so then you would look over here. So if we roll 4, 5, 6 on a par 4, 4, 5, 6. Is he a legend? Is Corey Payton a legend or a bomber? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's a legend. Okay? So, on the 4, 5, 6... Oh, I'm sorry. 4, 5, 6 is here. That was 4, 4, 6. 4, 5, 6, you'd go right to the circle. Okay? 4, 5, 6, you go right to the circle. 4, 4, 6, if he was a legend or a bomber, there's a star. So you would go to the star. There's the star. With the star, you get a blue chip. What does the green dice say? It's a 5. Is he a hacker? No. Otherwise, he's got a moderate putt for birdie. And then you go to a moderate putt. So it flows so nice. It really does. Is you just look to see the symbol, the word. You go left to right until you either find one or you don't. And then you find the symbol, the mood, experience. There's a now chart. So you just go all the way down, and there's always a catch-all. Okay? Like here on the par 3, if you got a good roll and it says if no condition is met, you get a moderate putt for birdie. So there's always even a default here on the chart. So you never get lost. Is you just go right down from left to right until you either match or you don't. And if you don't, it goes to the last thing here, and then you look it up. So that's kind of how that plays out. Hopefully I explained it well. So again, you roll all the dice. So let's go to, let's pick a different hole here. Let's go to a par 5. So this is par 5, okay? Now this hole says it's semi-cordial. So that's where the decider dice comes in. So you roll your dice here, and your decider dice is a circle. So what I like to do, I like to roll it right when I roll everything. So now I know that it's cordial. If this was blank, then it's not cordial. And where that comes into play is sometimes it'll ask you, is it a cordial hole? Is it, something else? Is it a friendly green? It'll ask you questions about the course. And then that's how you would get the answer. So if it says, is it cordial? If you had rolled this, yes, it is cordial, and you follow along to see what it tells you to do. So that's how basic gameplay works. It's really fun. Is you roll all the dice, and you either determine if it's coming off the course or if it's coming off the player. If it's coming off the player, you look at 3, 4, 5, and it tells you where to do and where to go. It might give you a nice easy par, or you might have to go all the way down here to the now chart. So you go all the way back here to the back and say, okay, there's my mood chart, and here's my now chart. My now chart asks me if I'm hot or cold. Depending if you're a birdie and a bogey in the last couple holes, you might be hot or cold at any given time. You get your experience charts. So everything's here. It's a lot of charts, but it's real easy. Everything is fairly easy. There's a couple of wrinkles in here you might find, as far as you might find a hole that's a little bit more difficult to putt on. So if you get this symbol right here, and the course controls, whereas you roll, if you got a 2, 3, 4, or 5, the course would control, and when you get to the green, that symbol there tells you that you need to add one layer of difficulty to your putt, unless it's a clutch putt. Clutch putts you don't change. So if you had a moderate putt on the green, well, on this hole, that moderate putt now becomes a difficult putt if you follow. So there's a lot of wrinkles on the course here, and that really makes it fun. It's a really fun game to play. It does everything really nice. So that's kind of how the basic game works. Is that so? If when you're playing, even if you're playing in a tournament, what you're going to do is you're going to just start, keeping track of, the scores. So let's go and take a look at how to set up a tournament and what this looks like, because this is what I'm enjoying the most, is tournament mode. So hopefully I explained on how to find the results, and I walked you through a couple of things here. Again, you get your par 3, par 4, and your par 5 charts to get you going if the golfer controls. Otherwise, you go here. When you go here, you're most likely going to be either going to green cam, course cam, or one of the hazards, okay? Your sand, your rough, or your trees. And you really want to roll off the player card. That's where you get the better results, but you still can get good results off the course if you come out of the hazards decent. So, all right, let's take a look at setting up tournament play. Okay, the idea behind tournament play is to see who makes the cut and gets on to Sunday on the TV, is basically what this works out to be. And you get a lot of golfers with each pack here. So these are the 2,000 stars that come with the game. And what they tell you to do is cut the 2 stacks in half, okay? Shuffle them up. And then you want to make 8 stacks here. They don't have to be exact. You just want to make them close. So you get 8 stacks of golfers. And you start whittling down according to this chart here, okay? So on this chart, you got the first 2 rounds, all golfers are in play. So what they said to do is you take half the stack into 8, and then what you do is you do something with these, and then you take the next stack and repeat it. So you got like the morning group and the afternoon group. And this is for the first 2 rounds of the tournament. And then we get to round 3, it does a little bit different. So here's how we're going to do this, is we roll the dice and we go low to high again. All right, so 66 doesn't matter. So on a 66, it would tell me to draw 1, and that would be an outstanding golfer. So we'll take this one here. I'm just going to go and pick 1, and this would be an outstanding golfer. So Nick O'Hearn is an outstanding golfer, okay? These guys that are left are out, okay? They're out of the tournament. They didn't make the cut. And then we do it again. So we roll the dice and we get a 26. So 26 says draw 4 golfers, and then the top 2 remain. So I take a stack on 26. I draw 4. So I'll just go 1, 2, take from the bottom, 3, 4. So I get my 4. Now keep the outstanding golfers safe, because this meant they had a really good round. So outstanding golfers go off to the side. These guys make the cut, and I said I take my top 2 after that. So I only have 3, and so I got 1, 2. If they're tied, I believe if they're tied, they both advance, okay, in rounds 1 and 2. Now you would continue this till you whittle down the cards and the players, and you do that for both sets, okay? So let's just say now that we've whittled it down, so I'm just kind of speeding ahead. So we've whittled down all the cards, and we did the same here. We have a couple of outstanding golfers, and these are all the guys that advanced or whatever. Okay, so now we've cut it down. So you get to round 3, and it gets to be a little bit different now. So these guys are in their own stack. Anybody that was outstanding is in their own stack, and chances are they're all going to advance, and that's the idea, is you want to give them the best chance. So then you would break down these into 7 piles. I'm kind of zipping through this. It's not exact, but you would have 7 piles. And then what you would do is you would roll on the round 3, okay? And now you have your contenders and your finishers. So we would roll the dice here, and a 36, top golfer contends with an A-. A low finishes with D, and all other finishes with C minus. So if you wanted to, okay, now I don't because it does take a lot of time, but if you wanted to, you could get scores for everybody. So in this case, on 36, the 12th golfer contends. So we're going to take our first pile here, and we're going to look, we'll take this one, it's a lesser one, our top golfer. So our top golfer is 4C. So it says our top golfer contends with A minus. So put him A minus. Okay, our worst guy said finishes D minus, so he finishes, so you put him on the top because he finished, and everybody else on 36 finishes with C minus. Okay, so that's how you do, and you would do that for everybody here. And eventually what you would have is you would have some A golfers, some A minus golfers, and maybe even some A plus golfers. So chances are all these guys, so if I did the outstanding stack of 56, only one golfer contend. So this guy would contend with A minus, and these guys with a 56 would finish with a D. So wow, so these guys were outstanding, and then they choked actually. So what would happen, and after you kept rolling dice, you would end up with something like this, okay? And then what happens is anybody that's A plus, A minus, they're considered to be contenders, okay? Anybody here in the B's or low, okay, it says anybody with B plus or B is possible. So you would take these guys and keep the in a possible stack, okay? Because they were the closest ones to the leaders, and everybody else would be off in their own stack, okay? So they're pretty much done. However, if you wanted to, you could go back and calculate the scores for these guys. So the guys are in D minus, you could get a score for. The guys are in C minus, you could get a score for. The guys are in C, you could get a score for. I don't, but if you were doing an overall thing and you needed scores for everybody for every tournament, you could do that. It's a lot of math and a lot of work, but if you wanted to, the guys that don't make it to the Sunday camera, is what I'm going to call it, you can still get scores for. These guys here in the B and the B plus, we need to hang on to them because if things get close, there's a chance you could roll the dice and one or maybe two of these guys jump back into the competition. They got a big surge at the end and they're back in play. Okay, so keep these guys separate from everybody that's out and everybody not keeping score because you may need this stack later on in the game. So now what you would do, occasionally, if you look here, it'll have a little symbol here, and that means that you're going to roll on the golfer issues and perks chart to see if they have anything good or bad happening during the round. And then again, you roll the dice and you follow along. Now, not everybody's going to. Some people do. So let's just say that we had 3 golfers. We rolled in 3 golfers. So this guy, and this guy all got this little diamond symbol here when we drew them out of the pack. So they're going to be eligible for perks, good or bad. So we would roll the dice and look here to see what they got and then mark that on our score sheet. So that is setting up the how to make the cuts, I should say. So now you're going to get between 8 and 12 golfers, they said. And if you want to, as a house rule, so what do we got? 3, 6, 8, 10. If we wanted to get to 12, we could take 2 people out of the B plus or B group and add them to get us around 12 if we wanted to, okay? If we wanted to. So that's pretty optional. The more golf is, the more rolling, the longer it's going to take to play. So that's what I've been doing with the tournament mode. It's been real fun. Is I've been setting this up like as you see, taking the stacks, rolling the dice, and weeding out all the golfers in rounds 1, 2, and 3, setting me up for my Sunday roll. And now let's take a look at that Sunday roll. Okay, so now we're ready to start rolling dice on the individual holes for the individual players for the tournament. Now what you do need is a starting score. So on this chart here, scoring for key contending golfers, we're going to figure out what they start with. So you have our A plus golfers, and your A minus, your B plus, and a whole bit, and it gives you numbers to roll on, okay? So this is something you would do before you put them in play. I already did that, and we're set up. I'm going to show you how I got there. So if you have an A plus golfer, what you need to do is figure out who won the last tournament at this course and what the score was. It's not critically important to do. So if you can't find it, or if you have your own course and there's no number, you can pick one. Just go in the middle somewhere. So let's just say we said, okay, 270 was the winning score. So between 268 and 272, that's the column we're going to roll on. So anybody that was an A plus either finished with 201 or 202 after 3 rounds. So we roll the decider dice, and a blank is the higher number, so it's 202. So if this guy here, Parnevik, was an A plus, he's going to be starting with 202. Okay. Anybody that was an A, you roll the dice again. You look at the same column, so they're going to be either 1 or 2 strokes back, or maybe even 3 strokes back. So I rolled the decider dice. So the first guy gets the better score of 203. So if we were rolling for Ogilvy, he would have 203, and we continue on rolling. If we were rolling for Faxon, let's say he was another A golfer, he would be the same. So you have there's a small thing here where it's 1 stroke difference with the decider die. So again, so your leader, if he rolls a decider die of 201 and the second guy back, he rolls a blank, he could be 3 strokes back that kicks things off. So you would do that for every player in contention according to what their remember that. Remember we did the A's and the B's and the B pluses. So you would look at where they finished, and then you'd roll the dice, and that's where they would start on round 3. You would put that information here. So this is the Kaiju Cup I did. At a course, a custom course somebody created. And so it was Fast was my first guy. He was in first place, and when I rolled the dice, he had a 205. And second place was Price. When I rolled the dice, he was 207, so he was 2 strokes back. Pampling, who actually won the tournament, he was 2 strokes back, and I just continued on down to figure out how many strokes back I had for the rest of the 11 golfers. And then you set it up here on the course. So you got your leader, and then you have how many strokes back they are to start. So now you're ready to go with your tournament. And what you do is you work backwards. So you start from the back and work your way to the front. So in my play there, as you can see, I had Sink, Cook, and Garcia were my bottom 3, so they were in my first group, Sink, Cook, and Garcia. And then my next group were the next 3, Poulter, Mahan, and O'Hare, and then all the way down the line until I got my top 3, which is Fast, Price, and Pampling, as you can see down here. Now, what's really neat about this, why it's staggered, is because it simulates golf on that Sunday where you got the bottom of the pack kicking off, and after they roll hole 2, then the second group comes out on hole 1, and then you continue to play. Eventually, after these guys have finished 4 holes, the first group will come out. So you just go right down the line. Now you do have to remember to keep swapping the holes for the course, and that screwed me up a couple of times because you are going backwards. So if you follow it all, you'll be hole 1 for these guys. And then you'll be hole 2 for these guys, and then hole 3. And then when you get down to the bottom, you're going back to hole 1. So you got to work backwards and pull out hole 1 for the bottom. So you do need to pay attention to what hole you're on, because I did screw that up a couple times because you're going backwards a lot because you're going back to the top guys who are hitting last on the day. And eventually, these people will either drop out of the tournament because once you get past 6 strokes back, you are gone, or they'll finish. And then you follow up with just who is left. In fact, Price here had such a bad round. He bogeyed a couple of holes here on the back 9 that he was out of contention. So he finished. He was 2 strokes back at the start of the day, and he ended up being 7 strokes back, and he was done. They do offer a way, which is really neat. The guys that fall out of contention, they're still hanging around, sort of, but the chances are they're not going to win. But they do offer a way to follow up with their score. So let's just say this guy here, Sink, he was out at hole 12. He was done, okay, because he was 7 strokes back or 8 strokes back or whatever it was. If I wanted to keep his score going, I just look at the hole. If the normal hole, I roll the dice, and it's a 3, and so he would par. So I could put in the par 4. And I could continue that so I could get him a final score if I wanted to. And then maybe by chance, if all these guys start choking and he's rolling birdies, maybe he comes back in. Maybe I put him back in. Maybe I don't. But there is a way to keep score of the out-of-contention golfers that fall during the Sunday on the camera. So they've really covered all the bases here as far as keeping score and keeping track of everything here. They've done a really nice job of it. I like having this set up here. So if my top guy, if he were to birdie, then what happens is everybody else falls a stroke back. And that's how it would look on my table, okay? If this guy would have birdie, well, he moves up. And then that's what this does here. If this guy would have bogey, well, he would fall back here. So you're constantly moving the board depending on, okay, birdie here, this guy bogeys. So the board's constantly moving so you can see how many strokes back you are. And that comes into play as far as spending chips or getting aggressive, because this guy here, if there's only a handful of holes left, he's got nothing to lose. He needs to start, getting some birdies to move up. So I like having this view here. When you're actually playing the game. Now, when you're here is when you start rolling for the hole. So again, Clark is teeing off here on, hole whatever. You would roll the dice, and then you would, go to your chart book and look up what happened to him. He would play out the hole, and then whoever was hitting next. If it was Faxon, okay, now Faxon's up. He's going to roll. We see what he does. Oh, he bogeyed, so he falls one back in the whole bit. So once you get to this point, you're actually rolling dice and looking off the book here and getting the score for the hole. So there's a lot to do in this game, but it's super easy. It's super fun. I like the fact that you can just pick up a couple of golfers and play 9 holes or 18 holes. You can play match play if you want. I don't really care for match play, but I tried it and it seems to work. But the tournament mode, this is the fun stuff. Is you take your golfers, you find out what they're rated at, who makes the cut. Some of it's random, some of it's based on talent. And then you finally settle down on Sunday. You get your leaderboard going into Sunday, and now you start rolling. And as you can see, that's when the fun starts. That's when this guy sink at 2 bogeys off the bat. So he was already a couple strokes back here. What was he was 5 strokes back, so already out of the gate, he was pretty much done. I kept him around for a while. In fact, these little notations here mean I was just rolling off of the out of contender chart just to see if he might come back, and he never really did. And at some point, I just gave up on him. But that's when the fun starts, especially when you get into the back 9, and now you see the top guys battling it out. And as you can see what I did here, Fast, he was the guy in the lead. He had a 2-stroke lead here, okay? Fast did. And he ended up losing it on 17. So I kept, he was up by 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3. He was up by 4 strokes here on hole 10, and then that's when he collapsed. And you can see Pampling here, birdie, birdie, bogey, birdie, 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 birdie. He went just birdie down the line and took it all. And so when he birdied 17 and Fast bogeyed 17, Fast went from 1 up to 1 down. They both parred 18, and Pampling stole it. So Fast led the entire tournament until hole 17 on the last day, and he blew it, and Pampling stole the tournament from him. So this was an exciting tournament. The Kaiju Open was a good time. I think what I'm going to do is I kept track of the top 6. I'll keep track of my winners, and maybe I'll have like a winners tournament at some point. So I'm keeping all my score sheets here so I can see who won what, but it is a lot of fun. I do like the tournament mode. It's long though, I'm not going to lie. By the time that you take all your cards and you flip them down and you see who's in contention and out of contention, and then you actually play it, it's going to be between 3 and 5 hours. It's a big thing, but it's addicting, it's fun, and it's a fun time, and I really like this game. So anyway, that's a little intro here on, where is it, History Maker Golf. Let me pull up the box top again. So History Maker Golf, it's a lot of fun. I'll have some actual gameplay coming up shortly, but I kind of wanted to run through what the game actually does. There's a lot of really good videos on YouTube that might explain it better than me, but I just want to give you a little rundown of what you can do in the game and what you'd be looking at if you were playing the game. And again, I'll have some gameplay coming up soon, but anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I'm Dave. Thanks for watching this video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.